Good morning, YouTube. Today, we're going to see which is better, the Porsche GT4 or the Porsche GT3.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and we are at my dealership NG Supercars, and these beautiful pieces of German machinery are both for sale through our dealership NG Supercars, so go check it out and send us an email if you want to make an offer. But yes, we have one of the interesting debates in the Porsche world, which is better, the mid-engine car or the rear-engine car? There is a little bit of a generational gap. This is a 2016 and this one is a 2018. Not quite the same generations, but so let's go through. We're going to walk around, just kind of look at them visually, get inside them, take them for a drive, and see which one I personally like better and why. Which one I would actually own if I were to have a Porsche. All right, let's start off with the GT4. In full disclaimer, both of these cars have been modified. This one's been modified a little bit more, so this one's got like aftermarket suspension and some other stuff. They both have aftermarket exhaust, so they're going to be louder than factory. I believe both of them have tunes. They're kind of comparable. I guess the biggest difference is, of course, the suspension in this one. But also looking inside, you know, this thing's got aftermarket race harnesses and roll cage from G&G. And of course, one of the big differences is that this one is a manual and this one has the PDK. So we will get into which one is better and why in just a minute. We've got the big aftermarket Porsche wing. Personally, I think a wing looks good on some of these Porsches, but I don't know about maybe this big of a wing, maybe slightly smaller. You want more downforce and stuff, but yeah, they're good looking cars. Actually, I kind of like the body lines of the Cayman maybe slightly better. I don't know. The only thing is the 911s just have such a classic look to them. I mean, this is just the quintessential Porsche body line, which is, it's kind of hard to beat. I actually do like the looks of the headlights on those better than these. These kind of have like, I don't know, this weird sagging section right here, and these are just rounded, like, you know, like a nice oval. And I think that looks cleaner, in my opinion, than that. This kind of has a bit of a reminiscence of the 996, which, you know, no one likes the lights on those, the runny egg headlights. That's kind of what it reminds me of, and I'm not sure I like that. But the rest of it, I mean, you can see they kind of have similar grille styles with the grating on it, the little plastic trim sticking out past the front of the bumper. These are aftermarket little splitters right here, little winglets. I think they look tasteful. They're not bad. Like I said, I kind of like the body line of the GT4 a little bit better, and also like that it's maybe a tiny bit smaller. So we'll see when we get out on the road. 911, that's just such a classic look. I mean, this is like the look of a Porsche. The classic body lines, it looks very, very good. Got a much larger hood. It's a little bit longer of a car, longer wheelbase. Definitely has bigger wheels. Looks like much larger brakes as well. And of course, you got the center lock wheels, which I'll have to admit, for a street car, they're really kind of a pain in the ass. I'm not a fan of those things. I don't see the point in having those unless you're actually tracking the cars, which, again, a lot of these people actually tracking these cars, so, you know, good on them. I actually think this wing looks really quite tasteful. It's not over the top. It's not like, I just don't like the scaffolding look. You know, I think that's part of it. This looks like it's all integrated. It kind of reminds me more of like the 930 Turbo, where it kind of had the big whale tail and it was just kind of integrated into it and it flows real nice. That's more of what this looks like to me, and I appreciate that attention to detail and the effort on it. Both of them have the center exhausts that kind of have two pipes, clean and tasteful. Yeah, just massive wheels. I love that you got the body kind of curving out and giving it some depth to it here, kind of more of that wide body look. And in the interior, they both have the carbon seats, so both of them are going to be similar in seating. I like the GT3 striping on that. That looks very, very cool. Of course, no rear seat in the GT3s. And like I said, PDK in this car, lots of carbon fiber. Yeah, just clean, classic Porsche looks. Everything's nice and simple, good layout. All things considered, I'm a huge fan of the Martini livery. I think that looks absolutely awesome on this car. I mean, that, yeah, look at that. That just looks sick. That's badass. Okay, I know, enough talking. Let's take out the GT4 first. Let's go little and then big. GT4. Right off the bat, manual transmission. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Shifts really good. It's pretty short throw. My only complaint is, I guess that's just, I've been spoiled, right? Once you've driven gated cars, you go back to a normal style manual, they just feel a little bit vague. I also don't like that the way that it does the detent into reverse, it's not like super, you don't have to like push down or do anything. It just, you push and kind of like, it resists and then you push a little bit harder. And I've accidentally gotten it to go into reverse when you're trying to go into one, because you just, especially if you're coming off of a higher gear, but whatever, it's not a big deal. Another thing that's really cool about the Porsche manual transmissions in these cars is if we put it into sport mode, when we downshift, it automatically rev matches. So it gives the throttle a little blip for you, which is super, super cool. Makes you feel like you're a professional race car driver, even though you probably aren't that great at driving, as is myself. But it's fun. And that's what this is about. This car is all about having fun. I do like that exhaust. That is a very good sounding exhaust. It's real throaty. It's got that nice mechanical sound. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good. The mid-engine versus rear engine. Yeah, that's the thing about this. I do feel a tad more comfortable with the balance on this car compared to the regular 911s. Now, that may just be a function of now I've been driving mid-engine cars for so long that just feels right to me. It's funny because when I first switched to mid-engine cars from having mostly front-engine cars my whole life, it was a really easy, like, I felt like the mid-engine cars just had a very natural balance to it. It just feels easy to work your way into. Now, when I drove my brother's GT3 on the track a while back, I was not comfortable. The rear engine weight was very substantial, it was noticeable, and it just felt unsettling. Now, I know there's people who obviously drive these things, the 911s really hard, and they do very well with it, but I feel like the Caymans with the mid-engine really make it more of a natural feeling, and I think they're probably going to be easier to drive hard without a lot of practice. Oh, that is really, really good feeling. Really good rotation around your butt. Sound is awesome. Very, very good sound. Oh, those rev matches. So cool. Yeah, look at this cornering. No body roll. Very balanced, very composed. Now, I guess here's my only complaint. It's missing a little bit of power. I wish it had that extra power that you get out of the big boy. That's my only thing. It just two things. One, I want that extra power. I do miss that. If this thing had the power of a 911, it would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The other thing is, it doesn't rev real fast because we only get to 7,500. That's the red line on this thing. So, once you try a 9,000 RPM GT3, 6, 7, 7.5, don't get me wrong, that's pretty awesome. But 9,000? Whoa, yeah. That's the stuff. That's the stuff that you want. But really, it's a really good car. It is phenomenal. And for basically half the price, yeah, that's a pretty strong argument for this car. Very tight steering, very sharp and precise. Love the feel of the steering wheel. It's great feel. Good weight to it. Just enough resistance to make you feel like it's substantial, but not so light, that you're tossing around the corner and you just feel like you're throwing the wheel around. Like it provides just enough. Okay, off we go. And this is is a rough road and it still feels really planted and composed. That is awesome. This thing would be an absolute riot on the track. I could see wanting to track this car a lot. That's a strong argument in the pro column for this car. I feel like on the track, it's going to be really well balanced. Yes, it's not going to be as fast as the 911, but it is going to be a lot of fun, and it's a lot cheaper. Oh, and that handling is really good. Just such good balance. Yeah, I want that extra power. That's it. That's my only complaint. Two things. More power, more RPM. The new GT4s that have the GT3 engine, that, I need to try that. That sounds like something I would absolutely love. I think I will really, really like that car. Interior space is good. Comfort levels are good. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the Porsche carbon fiber seats because they don't allow you to adjust the back. I mean, it's a fixed, this is it. What you get is what you get. And I like the way they hug you, but my only other problem is they come up so high on the sides that it makes getting in and out of the cars much more difficult. But these are kind of nitpicky things. I mean, the interior otherwise is pretty good. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have like real leather instead of this vinyl stuff, and carbon fiber instead of this plastic crap. But I'll live with it. I'll deal with that for this car. I'm fine with it. In the GT3 Big Daddy. So this thing has an IP exhaust and a tune on it that pops and bangs very, very loud. I'm not like a super big fan of the pops and bangs. Like, I like a little bit of burble, but I don't like it going like bang. This thing goes bang. You'll hear right off the bat. You can tell this is like the top tier car that Porsche makes. I mean, the materials are much nicer. It feels just a little bit more stout. Like everything just feels like a little bit better built. You got nice carbon fiber, leather, Alcantara. I don't know. Already, I'm just feeling a little bit more like this is a high-end car. This is a lot of car. You get that feeling, which is nice. The engine itself already sounds more substantial too. So we haven't even really started playing or doing anything. It's just like, oh yeah, that's we got something back there. Steering wheel is basically the same, and the weightiness of it feels pretty much the same. So on that aspect, it's almost no difference. I could probably see around that corner just a little bit better. I mean, it's just because it's got a little bit more space and it's got the rear seats normally. And of course, there is a huge difference right there. We have the PDK transmission. I know, like, if you're a manual purist, this is unacceptable. But this is probably the best transmission in the world, in my opinion, today. It is the quickest, most precise, bulletproof. Don't hear about them breaking or having issues. They're just really, really, really good. There's a reason why they use these and want you to use these if you're going to be on the track, because on the track, this is going to be flawless. In fact, I'd almost venture to say you probably just put it in sport mode and not even use the paddles if you're on the track, which, again, kind of eliminates a little bit of the fun as well, but it makes it so you're going to get a better time. And you don't have to focus on any of the shifting, you just focus on driving. See, listen to this downshift. That's awesome. It's like, oh yeah, I got you, bro. All right, here we go. Oh yeah. I mean, listen. Oh yeah. Come on. Now you can feel that weight. You can feel it. This is a heavier, more stout car, and you can feel that weight in the rear already, just going around that corner, especially going back to back like this. I can definitely feel the difference, but it's very composed, very planted. Steering is very precise. And we have tons of power, very good power. And the power band comes in at a much lower RPM, so it's much more usable. And of course, best thing of all, 9,000 RPMs, yes. Still feels very good on the bouncy roads, comfortable. All right, now we're gonna kind of be able to start kind of opening up a little bit. Feel it. Oh, yes. Come on, that's what you want. Oh, yes. All right, I know this thing costs like double the GT4. But yeah, okay, you want that. It's worth it right there. Just that extra 1,500 RPMs. The sound it makes is, oh yeah, that's yeah, that puts hair on your chest, man. That is a great sound, great feeling, and it's power. We have power finally. I feel like that's the thing about the GT4 that's lacking, is just it didn't have the power. I know, like, people love momentum cars, they love the S2000s and Miatas and stuff, but sometimes you just want that power. And being that I live in Texas, I really want that power because we have tons of straight roads and not as many curvy roads. So I want to be able to get off the line and have some fun and enjoy the car, and the way I can do that the most in Texas is generally in a straight line, because that's what we got a lot of. Now, that being said, we are heading into some curvy roads, so we are going to hit some twisties and be able to really experience this thing a little bit better. Now, even though it is a weightier car, and we've got the weight in the rear more, you can still feel like it feels good. Now, you do have to kind of retrain how to drive one of these if you've never driven a rear engine car. It does take some effort to get used to. It's not going to be like a front engine car or a mid engine car. It is a different feeling. Porsche has engineered their way out of a physics problem. You know, physics tells you, don't do that. Don't put the engine all the way in the back. They're like, we can solve this. We got math and science. We'll do this. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's good. Yeah, we're good. Corner. Even at the lower RPMs, it's just got a meatier sound to it. It just sounds more like angry and visceral. Lightning fast. It's just insane. So a big question is going to be, are you going to miss the manual if you have the PDK? Are you going to be sad that you don't have the manual? Well, with the PDK, you can do this. Come on, that's so awesome. Launch control in the Porsche is just hilarious. All you do is put your foot on both pedals, stomp them both, release the brake, and go. And it just... Now, the road surface on this road is so crappy that it just couldn't get any traction at all. So I short shifted the second, but oh my God, it's so fun. For track purposes, I feel like it's funny because you want the PDK because it performs better, but you want the manual because it's a bigger challenge and it's more fun and whatever. And on cruising roads, you want the manual because then you're working more, you get to bang gears and whatever. But it's super nice to have the PDK to just be able to pull some paddles and just go. My wife loves these GT3s. She loves the Porsche. She loves the automatic. She loves the fact that she can hop in this car and just go. And it drives flawlessly. So there is something to be said about that. You know, to make a car that's this powerful, this capable, and still that accessible, that people who don't even really care about them can drive them with ease. People who aren't gearheads can just get in and go. I think a telling statement about the two, and I'm not bagging on the GT4, to be clear. I think it's an amazing car and it's extremely good value. A lot of car for the money. But the big difference is I'm wanting to drive this more. Like, if someone was like, oh, pick one, I would choose this every time. And I think that's a big statement. That's what really matters, is this is the car you really want. Now, yes, the GT4 is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy it, all those things. But this is the car that you're going to be having envy over. This is the car that's going to evoke that emotional decision that doesn't always make sense. It's just like, yes, that's what I want. That's the thing I want to experience, right? That's this car right here. All right, YouTube. I have to say, on paper, or at least initially, you think the GT4 is going to be enough, right? And I think if you were just looking for a cheaper track rat car, that would be sufficient. But I personally like the extra power that the 911 provides. And I love the 9,000 RPM. It just screams. It makes sounds that are just, yes, the stuff you want, the stuff as a gearhead you want. So, although I do like this car, I will say the GT4 is very, very good. Its handling is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I would feel more comfortable pushing the GT4 to its limits than I would in the 911. I feel like the 911 has because of the rear engine stuff, it could bite you. And the extra power is going to make it a little bit more difficult. If I was to track these cars, even though I feel like I'd want the PDK for tracking purposes, because I don't want to like money shift it or something stupid. At the same time, it's more pleasurable to drive it with the manual. So I don't know. This is a pretty amazing car, but something special about this. If you're looking at one or the other, I think you're going to be happier with the GT3 than the GT4. I just feel like it's just a better car. Now, I know in the new GT4s, they have the 911 GT3 engine in it, so you get the 9,000 RPM, you get the extra power, all that stuff. I bet that's probably phenomenal. I think I probably would like that even more than either of these. I need to try one of those to verify this, but I'm not disappointed with either. They're amazing cars. The handling's outstanding. The handling feels really similar, but obviously the weight distribution is definitely noticeable. You can feel that extra weight, but it's overcome with the extra power. Now, being that I'm in Texas, I'm in the United States, that extra power is kind of what I want. Let's be real. Most of the roads aren't going to be super twisty. I'm not going to be able to use the handling as much as I'm going to be able to use the power, so I want that power. With that being said, either one. They're badass. They're badass cars. You're going to like either one. I'm struggling to find negativities, right? Yeah, they're fantastic. They're both for sale, ngsupercars.com. Send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com if you'd like to buy one. But that's going to do it for this video. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to see you in the next one. We're going to be doing cool car stuff. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.